Hey, folks, welcome back to the Gotham and Beyond podcast. I am your host, Vince. Hopefully, you're doing well out there. Tonight is episode number 8. And tonight we're going to talk about the most powerful ability in most street level campaigns, and mostly Batman's arsenal. Not his martial arts or his gadgets or even his cape. We're talking about being a detective. This is one of Batman's greatest skills when it comes to figuring out crimes and finding the bad guy. And they even made a whole, thing about it when we saw the Batman movie that came out in, what was that, 2022, I believe, the Batman. It fell in with his detective abilities. We had the 1966 Batman Adam West, which did a lot of detective work, even though it was a little goofy and campy. But still, we got the detective Batman that we wanted. So let's flip to page 76 in the core rulebook. We're going to talk about the detective skill. Now, the detective skill doesn't get a flashy write up or anything, no big power icons, no cosmic splash thing going on here, but it's the foundation of what makes street level heroes work in this system. The rulebook even splits it into 5 subcategories when it comes to this: clue analysis, counterfeit recognition, identification systems, law, and police procedure. Each one of these is a door to something. Together, they're the difference between another brawl in an alley and a story worth playing. Now, I absolutely enjoy stories when it comes to detective work and investigation and figuring things out versus sitting there just constantly battling. I've never been a GM that just wants to focus on constant battles or combat. I like to have little tidbits of investigation, uh, some social chatter, things like that. Having characters think. I'm not here to play a game of just beat 'em up and that's the end of it. You'll never play in a game of mine that's just going to always be combat. There will be combat, but you're not going to get a game that's just combat all the time. So let's kind of like dig into this now. We're going to talk a little bit about clue analysis. This is kind of the bread and butter, the ability to read information from physical evidence left behind on a crime scene or from a criminal, so to speak. Mechanically, it runs on knowledge points. Every piece of evidence holds layers for you. One wrap might mean you get something small. Half the RV and wraps tell you more. Full wraps, you have unlocked the entire story behind the clue that you pretty much found. Well, for the most part. Here's the neat part. The book says that when you hit a deeper level, you automatically get all the information from the earlier levels too, so the trails unfold piece by piece, kind of like pulling the layers of an onion away. Maybe a bad example. So the rules lay out detective finding. They have the example they have here of a detective finding a cigarette holder. With one wrap, they know it's the type usually smoked by women. With more, they uncover narcotics residue. Push all the way, they realize the detachable tip holds a deadly poison. That's not combat, that's storytelling through mechanics. And it's really interesting how it's handled. So, I ran a game once where there was a team who found fibers at a warehouse. The player with the detective skill rolled just enough to get the first clue. They were fibers from an imported rug. They kind of shrugged it off because it was general and thought nothing of it. Next section, they were doing a detective roll and analysis. They rolled a little higher, more wraps. They learned the rug wasn't imported legally. It was smuggled into crates tied to the Gotham Dock gang. By the time they hit full wraps of investigating on this clue analysis, they had the name of the importer, the ship it came in on, and the address of the warehouse where the rugs were being used to smuggle weapons, all from a scrap of fabric. This is what this skill does: it makes evidence matter and it pushes a story forward for you. All right, now you can look at it. Counterfeit recognition. It's exactly what it sounds like: spotting forged signatures, fake currency, and doctored IDs. Mechanically, you roll your detective APs against the APs of the forger's thief skill. If you win, the fake falls apart under scrutiny. It sounds narrow, but really in play, though this one pops up more than you'd think. Fraudulent contracts, rigged tech, even doctored video feeds. Players love it when a single roll shatters a villain's paper thin alibi. Next, we have identification systems, fingerprints, retinal scans, voice recognition. This is basically CSI before CSI was even a thing. If you've got the gear, the subskill lets you run the analysis, and the role is simple. Detective APs versus the system's difficulty. Success means a positive ID. It's a great way to ground the game, remind everyone that Gotham isn't just capes and explosions here. Sometimes it's lab work and sitting in front of a microscope at 3 a.m. and your character pulling late nights at the lab there, drinking their coffee and, not having a good evening, right? All right, let's look at law now. This subskill is underrated. It doesn't help you punch, it doesn't help you sneak, but it lets you work inside or around the legal system. It's used to interpret statutes, to defend yourself in court, to prosecute others, and here's the kicker. This system allows column shift modifiers when someone is being framed. If the evidence has been planted, the defense is harder. If the truth comes out, the shifts reverse. I've seen games stall because players don't know how to handle what happens after the fight. Law fills that kind of gap. It makes you more than just vigilante swinging fists at everybody. It makes you part of Gotham or whatever city's justice system, so to speak. So remember that. Know the laws, you know how to get out of things. So the last one is police procedure. And this is what lets you talk to cops without being hauled away every 5 minutes. It's the ability to navigate the law enforcement without tripping alarms. Mechanically, it can even substitute for persuasion when dealing with the police. So, for example, if Batman flashing his credentials at Gordon, that's police procedure, though he wouldn't be doing it with Gordon, so to speak, all the time. What's a neat wrinkle with this? The book says characters with the skill on a friendly or neutral terms with the police automatically gain the must answer to authority drawback, which is perfect because if you're playing a hero embedded in the system, you should feel that weight upon your shoulders. When you step back and look at all these sub skills, what you see is a skeletons of basically Batman's power set. Clue analysis is the world's greatest detective. Counterfeit recognition is the financial and crime side of Gotham. Identification system ties to science. Law keeps him aware of the system he bends but doesn't always break. Talking about Batman. And police procedure. This is the relationship with Gordon, with Gotham City PD, with the thin blue line that doesn't always trust him. This isn't flavor text, it's all mechanics. It's the game saying Batman's superpower isn't strength, it's being a detective. And yes, I've been talking a lot about Batman, but he's the perfect example when it comes to this skill in the DC universe. The most recognizable character when it comes to detective, because he is the world's greatest detective. That is one of his, I guess, titles. So the next time you build a street level character, don't skip over this skill. Don't just grab martial arts or acrobatics. Look at detective because the story doesn't end when the villain drops to the ground when you punch him in the face. The story keeps going. Evidence left behind, lies waiting to be uncovered, the law waiting to judge. And if you want to feel like Batman in Gotham City, you need this more than just using your fists. You need this skill. So, I don't know. What do you want me to talk about next time on the Gotham and Beyond podcast? Recovery? I don't know. Maybe. I'm thinking about going through some more of the skills and powers and trying to figure out another thing to talk about. If you have any suggestions, you can head on over to gotham-database.com is our website, or you can just email me directly, gothamdatabase@gmail.com. You can also check us out on, I believe, X at Gotham Database. They're on X. You can just tweet to me or send over, you know, a message through there as well, and I'll respond to that. And I think that's about it. Yeah. Yeah, we also, that's right, we do have a YouTube channel which you can follow as well. And that YouTube channel, let me just grab that real quick because I always forget what it is. It's just at Gotham Beyond. So youtube.com/, at Gotham Beyond, where you can get these podcasts and possibly more as I go through the books. And I don't know, I was thinking about putting up some special things just on YouTube as well. I don't know. Feedback is always needed. I do appreciate those that had left some comments on the Facebook group that we have for DC Heroes, third edition, and the Batman role playing game group as well on Facebook. You could find those by just searching and just joining those groups. Just make sure you answer the question so you can get in there. But other than that, I think it's time to keep it original, keep it old school, and say goodnight to everybody.